Its lateral angle is short, rounded, and prominent. It projects backward and lateralward, and is termed the muscular process. It gives insertion to the cricoarytenoides posterior behind, and to the cricoarytenoides lateralis in front. Its anterior angle, also prominent, but more pointed, projects horizontally forward. It gives attachment to the vocal ligament, and is called the vocal process. The apex of each cartilage is pointed, curved backward and medialward, and surmounted by a small conical cartilaginous nodule, the corniculate cartilage. The corniculate cartilages (cartilaginous corniculati, cartilages of Santorini) are two small conical nodules consisting of yellow elastic cartilage, which articulate with the summits of the arytenoid cartilages and serve to prolong them backward and medialward. They are situated in the posterior parts of the aryepiglottic folds of mucous membrane, and are sometimes fused with the arytenoid cartilages. The cuneiform cartilages (cartilaginous cuneiformis, cartilages of Riesberg) are two small elongated pieces of yellow elastic cartilage, placed one on either side in the aryepiglottic fold, where they give rise to small whitish elevations on the surface of the mucous membrane, just in front of the arytenoid cartilages. The epiglottis (Cartilago epiglottica) is a thin lamina of fibrocartilage of a yellowish color, shaped like a leaf, and projecting obliquely upward behind the root of the tongue, in front of the entrance to the larynx. The free extremity is broad and rounded. The attached part or stem is long, narrow, and connected by the thyroepiglottic ligament to the angle formed by the two laminae of the thyroid cartilage, a short distance below the superior thyroid notch. The lower part of its anterior surface is connected to the upper border of the body of the hyoid bone by an elastic ligamentous band, the hyoepiglottic ligament. The anterior or lingual surface is curved forward and covered on its upper free part by mucous membrane, which is reflected onto the sides and root of the tongue, forming a median and two lateral glossoepiglottic folds. The lateral folds are partly attached to the wall of the pharynx. The depressions between the epiglottis and the root of the tongue, on either side of the median fold, are named the valleculae. The lower part of the anterior surface lies behind the hyoid bone, the hyothyroid membrane, and upper part of the thyroid cartilage, but is separated from these structures by a mass of fatty tissue. The posterior or laryngeal surface is smooth, concave from side to side, concavo-convex from above downward. Its lower part projects backward as an elevation, the tubercle or cushion. When the mucous membrane is removed, the surface of the cartilage is seen to be indented by a number of small pits, in which mucous glands are lodged. To its sides the aryepiglottic folds are attached. Structure. The corniculate and cuneiform cartilages, the epiglottis, and the apices of the arytenoids at first consist of hyaline cartilage, but later elastic fibers are deposited in the matrix, converting them into yellow fibrocartilage, which shows little tendency to calcification. The thyroid, cricoid, and the greater part of the arytenoids consist of hyaline cartilage, and become more or less ossified as age advances. Ossification commences about the 25th year in the thyroid cartilage, and somewhat later in the cricoid and arytenoids. By the 65th year these cartilages may be completely converted into bone. Ligaments. The ligaments of the larynx are extrinsic, that is, those connecting the thyroid cartilage and epiglottis with the hyoid bone, and the cricoid cartilage with the trachea, and intrinsic, those which connect the several cartilages of the larynx to each other. Extrinsic ligaments. The ligaments connecting the thyroid cartilage with the hyoid bone are the hyothyroid membrane and a middle and two lateral hyothyroid ligaments. The hyothyroid membrane, membrana hyothyroidea, thyrohyoid membrane, is a broad fibroelastic layer attached below to the upper border of the thyroid cartilage and to the front of its superior cornu, and above to the upper margin of the posterior surface of the body and greater cornua of the hyoid bone, thus passing behind the posterior surface of the body of the hyoid and being separated from it by a mucus bursa which facilitates the upward movement of the larynx during deglutition. Its middle thicker part is termed the middle hyothyroid ligament (ligamentum hyothyroideum medium, middle thyrohyoid ligament). Its lateral thinner portions are pierced by the superior laryngeal vessels and the internal branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. Its anterior surface is in relation with the thyrohyoideus, sternohyoideus, and omohyoideus, and with the body of the hyoid bone. The lateral hyothyroid ligament (ligamentum hyothyroideum laterale, lateral thyrohyoid ligament) is a round elastic cord which forms the posterior border of the hyothyroid membrane and passes between the tip of the superior cornu of the thyroid cartilage and the extremity of the greater cornu of the hyoid bone. A small cartilaginous nodule (cartilago triticea), sometimes bony, is frequently found in it. The epiglottis is connected with the hyoid bone by an elastic band, the hyoepiglottic ligament (ligamentum hyoepiglotticum), which extends from the anterior surface of the epiglottis to the upper border of the body of the hyoid bone. The glossoepiglottic folds of mucous membrane may also be considered as extrinsic ligaments of the epiglottis. The cricotracheal ligament (ligamentum cricotracheale) connects the cricoid cartilage with the first ring of the trachea. It resembles the fibrous membrane which connects the cartilaginous rings of the trachea to each other. Intrinsic ligaments. Beneath the mucous membrane of the larynx is a broad sheet of fibrous tissue containing many elastic fibers, and termed the elastic membrane of the larynx. It is subdivided on either side by the interval between the ventricular and vocal ligaments. The upper portion extends between the arytenoid cartilage and the epiglottis and is often poorly defined. The lower part is a well marked membrane forming, with its fellow of the opposite side, the conus elasticus, which connects the thyroid, cricoid, and arytenoid cartilages to one another. In addition, the joints between the individual cartilages are provided with ligaments. The conus elasticus (cricothyroid membrane) is composed mainly of yellow elastic tissue. It consists of an anterior and two lateral portions. The anterior part, or middle cricothyroid ligament (ligamentum cricothyroideum medium), central part of cricothyroid membrane, is thick and strong, narrow above and broad below. It connects together the front parts of the contiguous margins of the thyroid and cricoid cartilages. It is overlapped on either side by the cricothyroideus, but between these is subcutaneous. It is crossed horizontally by a small anastomotic arterial arch, formed by the junction of the two cricothyroid arteries, branches of which pierce it. The lateral portions are thinner and lie close under the mucous membrane of the larynx. They extend from the superior border of the cricoid cartilage to the inferior margin of the vocal ligaments, with which they are continuous. These ligaments may therefore be regarded as the free borders of the lateral portions of the conus elasticus, and extend from the vocal processes of the arytenoid cartilages to the angle of the thyroid cartilage about midway between its upper and lower borders. An articular capsule, strengthened posteriorly by a well marked fibrous band, encloses the articulation of the inferior cornu of the thyroid with the cricoid cartilage on either side. Each arytenoid cartilage is connected to the cricoid by a capsule and a posterior cricoarytenoid ligament. The capsule (capsula articularis cricoarytenoidea) is thin and loose, and is attached to the margins of the articular surfaces. The posterior cricoarytenoid ligament (ligamentum cricoarytenoideum posterius) extends from the cricoid to the medial and back part of the base of the arytenoid. The